Hi, welcome back. This is part two. Somehow when I tried to switch the camera, I continued to do the video, and then I realized that things weren't working quite the way I thought they were. And I got to redo the part that I missed. And I think I left off in the last recap part. We're going to call that recap part one. This is going to be recap part two. And we left off at Victor Petrino and Antoine Turcali. Next fight, Said Nurmagomedov versus Jonathan Martinez. We had picked Said Nurmagomedov with a high degree of confidence. He did really well. I thought he won the fight, but in the end, it was a split decision. They gave it to Jonathan Martinez. He fought a good fight. It was really close. It was back and forth on the ground, on the feet. I think Jonathan Martinez might have pulled it off just in the last amount of aggression in the third round. They probably gave it to him, even though I thought that Said in both rounds two and three, he had won round one. He had won at least 3 minutes of round two, and it seemed like in the last 2 minutes, not even quite full 2 minutes, Jonathan Martinez came back and he showed some aggression and he got some points. I don't think he outpointed Said, but they ended up giving it to him because he finished the round strong. Third round, it was even closer than the second round. Again, Said took the first 3 minutes, and Jonathan came back in the last 2 minutes, showed a lot more aggression, got some points back, but that stuck in the judges' minds, and it was a split decision. I thought Said should have won this fight. It was a really good fight. It was a close fight, but anyways, they gave it to Jonathan Martinez. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for us because he was a high probability pick for us. Next fight, the Ricardo Ramos and Austin Lingo fight was canceled. Ricardo Ramos came in heavy, and they just didn't have that fight. Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. We had originally, this fight was scheduled 2-3 weeks ago, and I think Nikita Krylov was our pick. It was a slight favorite. It was a 5-round fight, and Nikita Krylov got a stomach flu or something like that, and then they had to pull out for the main event. So we had picked Nikita Krylov. I think Nikita Krylov can beat Ryan Spann, but in this fight we picked both because we weren't sure the health issues with Nikita Krylov 2 weeks after the fact of him just having this health issue with his stomach. And then on top of that, I think it came at a catch weight, so I think they weren't necessarily going down to 205. I think it was in Ryan Spann's favor because he's the bigger guy. But in the end, Nikita Krylov did what I expected him to do. He crowded him, he punched him, he outstruck him. And Ryan Spann couldn't get the knockout punch, which is one of the ways past to victory. Ryan Spann didn't get the guillotine, which is one of his paths to victory. And Nikita Krylov just out-transitioned him and out-grappled him on the ground and choked him out. So this is kind of what I was expecting to happen, and it happened the way it is, which is one of the few highlights. But we had picked 50-50 on this one because of the health issues. Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Romanov. Alexander Volkov, one of my favorite fighters. I picked him to win. Fair degree of high probability. He was an underdog. I don't think Alexander Romanov is tested against such a high caliber fighter. I liked Alexander Volkov's front kick. I thought that he had pretty good takedown defense. He was only taken down by the best wrestlers. I didn't think Alexander Romanov could take him down. He couldn't take him down. And of course, after the first round, the stamina started becoming an issue. And again, if you actually saw the weigh-ins, going back to the weigh-ins, Alexander Romanov looked fat. And he didn't look nearly that good. And I know he put on extra weight because he was fighting a big guy, but he didn't look that good. So it's one of those weigh-in issues. So we definitely got to do a video after the weigh-ins. But I mean, I had picked Alexander Volkov anyway. And after seeing Alexander Romanov at the weigh-ins, I was even more confident that he was going to win. And of course, Alexander Volkov won by eventually taking him to the ground. I think it was in a clinch, and he kind of put him in the ground, and then he just ground and pounded him. And Alexander Romanov, there's no answer. He didn't have a lot of answers. He didn't have a lot of energy. Alexander Volkov's the real deal. He's a top 5 guy. I mean, I think he's number 6, but yeah, it's going to be hard to beat this guy. Only the best guys can beat him. Final fight, Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. Peter, of course, we picked Peter Yan, high degree of probability, but we had him as a stopgap where we said in that level, he was like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th leg. We had picked one parlay with Merab in it and not Peter, because of the path to victory for Merab is possible, where he basically continually attacks the takedown and just outlasts you with his cardio. And that's exactly what happened. I think Merab attempted over 40 takedowns. He set a record. I think he only made like 10 of them. But nevertheless, that was like 9. It was averaging 9 attempted takedowns, per round. That's like almost 2 attempted takedowns per minute. So you're continually defending these takedowns. Never mind fighting, you're continually defending. And Merab ended up getting up on the strikes as well, because he would punch and he would go for the takedown, punch and he'd go for the takedown. So, and Yan just couldn't get a strong enough punch in there to really back him off. I mean, we've seen Dvalishvili lose a fight by getting knocked down by Ricky Simone. That's one of those kind of things that you got to just catch this guy in the perfect shot as he's coming in to take him out. Peter Yan wasn't able to do it, unfortunately, and it's terrible, because this puts this guy in contention, and he's a terrible fighter to watch, because he's always he's gonna out cardio everybody. He's got one gift, and that was his miraculously 100% cardio for endless amount of time, and he can take a punch. That's eventually going to end, am I looking forward to watching Merab's next fight? No. Like, who wants this guy in the league? Like, he's terrible. But Peter Yan, he's an exciting fighter. You're actually watching fighting, rather than this guy attempting takedowns. He's not even a good takedown guy, because, well, he keeps attempting them. He's only getting 10 of them. People are getting back up, but he's just continually wearing on you. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of Merab. Hopefully he gets knocked out again. But he should be able to actually win the title with this game plan. But he doesn't want to fight his teammate, apparently. So who knows? This is an odd situation. I don't think the UFC is really going to be happy with him, especially because he doesn't want to fight for the title against Sterling, because Sterling's his friend. It's just ridiculous. Merab's a little ridiculous. The whole situation's ridiculous. I don't think the UFC is going to be taking a liking to either Merab or Sterling. Then they shouldn't, because he's terrible to watch. And like, if he's going to win the championship, just let him win it. And then hopefully eventually he'll fight somebody that eventually KOs this guy, right? But nevertheless, that's it. We're going to go over the parlays real quick, and this will be part 2 to the recap, just so you guys know. So there is a part 1. See how this works. How's that working? Good? All right, this is the bad news. Didn't want to be doing this, but it is what it is. Batista, 70, we had a high degree of probability. Yes, he won. Aldrich, high degree of probability, she lost. She looks absolutely terrible. Physically looked terrible. Definitely gotta just go with your gut in the weigh-ins, I'll tell you that much. Ramos got canceled. Henry, he ended up winning the fight. High degree of probability. No matter get up, close, split decision. I thought he won it. High degree of probability. Unfortunately, he lost. These were all the favorites. So 2 of the favorites ended up losing up here. I picked a lot of underdogs, but they were the wrong ones. Nam, good fight. Had a chance to win it, got caught, just stood there staring at him a little too long to counter, and Silva ended up just tagging him, because he was not the faster fighter. He was about the same speed, so it was a matter of who's going to get off first, even though he ended up winning the first round. Yan Dvalishvili, we picked Yan, but we had put a stopgap here where we picked both, just because of that tangible that Dvalishvili is just going to outwork yawn, and that's exactly what happened. Volkov, high degree probability, he was the underdog, he ended up winning as expected. 53% high degree probability. I picked Dumas, I switched it to Fremd because of the, again, I don't want to use explicit swears, but it's the BS of the way they measure these fighters. It's absolutely BS because it is wrong. And and sure enough, when I saw how much bigger than he was, I said, "There's no way." And I've had the bad experience before, so I switched it because it was a closer fight than everybody led on to. So I went to Threndy's the underdog. Takali, this fight was a little closer than I thought Takali could pull it off. Pacino, of course, his stamina held up. I thought Takali won the second round, so it was a little closer than I thought. He's definitely got to work on his striking defense. I think the guy's got some talent. Brzezinski, real grinder again, and he just got out wrestled, plain and simply. The newcomer did out wrestle him. It was a pretty close fight. Well, it was a close fight, but I mean, not on the scorecards just because of the wrestling and the other guy taking this guy down. Looking forward to seeing him fight. I mean, he's going to be in some entertaining fights. I think you just got to get him away from wrestlers. Asensio, you know what? He's older. He ended up retiring in that fight. He was winning the first 2 rounds. He was going to win that fight, and he ended up getting submitted, after he got cracked, and the Grant pulled it off. I like Grant, but yeah, Asensio was on his way to winning the kind of fight I was expecting him to win, and unfortunately got stopped late in the 3rd round, which is the only way. And this was like at the end of the 3rd round. This is the only way Grant was going to win at that point. Krylov versus Spam. We like Krylov, but we went 50-50 just because of the way this played out with his stomach virus and everything else. So, not a shiny example of picks, unfortunately. Let's try fix this. All right, so let's fix the camera. All right, well, that's it for this. Well, let's work on the next video, which is going to be the UFC 286 Edwards versus Usman. I've got that ready. I'm going to put it on the board and get that video out as soon as I can. All right, see you in a bit. Thanks for joining me, by the way, guys. And by the way, there's 2 videos. This is part 2. This is a part 1 because of the way something happened to the camera.